everybody, how you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Megan.
I'm Aunt Becky.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Kaya.
And we're some of the Veggie Boys.
You're ghosts.
We'd like to thank you for stopping by. If you're new here, please consider subscribing because we can grow a lot of stuff on the farm, but one thing we can't grow is this channel without your help. Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready to head over to work this morning, just moving some things around. Watch my favorite YouTube channel this morning. Before I leave in the morning, I try and make sure that Lauren is all taken care of for the day. Callie does seem to have a little bit of a cough, so she would normally come to work with me, but not this morning. So I'm just gonna get all my things together and then I'm heading over to the farm. Oh no. I got a flat tire on the side-by-side. Well, that is not ideal at all. I guess I'm taking the minivan this morning. Can you do me a favor? Can you take care of mommy this morning?
Not right now.
You don't, not right now? You're not gonna take care of mommy for me?
No.
All right, honey, I'm heading out. I'll see you later. I love you. Gotta take care of the ladies. Oh yeah, it feels chilly this morning. I don't know if you can hear that humming noise. That is from our grain dryer running. We got quite a bit of corn cut yesterday. We are hoping that we have enough room in the bin to finish off corn harvest completely today, but you can never be certain. We don't know how much corn really is in the field. We're only making educated guesses on what we've seen so far. But first things first, we gotta get this farm market all cleaned and set up. It looks like Grammy is in here baking this morning. Good morning, Grammy. People have asked me in the past if I get bored of doing this every single day, and the easy answer is no. This isn't very hard, and it only takes a few minutes out of my morning. Once I got everything cleaned up here though, everything pulled out of the cooler, we'll be ready to open. Farm market is now all set up. However, it does look like a ghost town on some of these shelves. We are missing a lot of stuff. Dad is fixing that by being at the wholesaler this morning. I mean, it just looks empty, but a lot of people have been in the area picking up fruits and vegetables. So all we have to do now is wait for Dad to get home and then we can get everything filled up. We'll then be moving down around back. Dad is now back from the wholesaler. He's got a lot of stuff. We've got basically a full pallet of apples here, along with some different types of peppers. We're trying to get moving pretty quick this morning. We want to get the rest of that corn cut. The only issue is we might be getting rain later on today. Still on the truck, it looks like he has a few different types of things. We got tomatoes, lemons, some other things that we desperately needed. Do I see horseradish on here? Yep. Uh-oh. You know what that means? Pain. I think Daniel ran down around back to get everything set up for feeding today. It also looked like on the truck Dad had got some stuff for grinding feed. So we'll probably be grinding feed either today or tomorrow. Not sure. I know he really wants to focus on getting everything cut today because if we can get all that corn cut off, that'll be a big weight off our shoulders. How do you get your exercise in for the day? I just move vegetables around. You know, some of you may wonder if everything has a place in the cooler. The easy answer is kinda. We move everything around. Sometimes we have certain spots for stuff, sometimes we don't. We're now in a slight rush to get stuff done, so I'm heading down around back to get the chickens taken care of. That means eggs collected, and if any of them need to be fed, feeding them. Good morning, ladies! Just the other day I was in here adding some straw to the nest, and it seems to have helped out quite a bit. The eggs weren't too dirty, but they weren't clean enough, if you know what I'm saying. Now they're looking a lot better. We try and go through with bedding materials every couple days. Usually for the chickens, we kind of just stick with straw. If we have a water bowl malfunction, or maybe the rain was coming in sideways, we will add some sawdust to these pens, but for the most part, it's just straw. Beautiful eggs. This is a job that I used to mind a lot more when I was younger. Collecting eggs was something I did not enjoy, and I don't really know why. I just didn't like it. As I've gotten older though, I like spending a little more time in the chicken pen. Maybe it's because I enjoy eating eggs more. That could be. I really enjoy eating eggs. I try and have them for breakfast almost every day. Eggs on some sausage. I'm gonna get hungry, I'll stop. Just got my pen all finished with. Daniel was collecting eggs in the back. This is how much we got from the newer chickens. and the eggs are starting to get some nice size to them. Now, I don't foresee us getting more eggs than what we've been receiving. The only difference will be the size of the eggs. We might need 2 baskets just to collect everything in the new pen. And some of you may be thinking, well, what could that lead to? Quite possibly 3 baskets of eggs a day. That's a lot of eggs. Now, if you're thinking about raising eggs at home, I suggest it. There's nothing better than farm fresh or home fresh eggs. One of the biggest reasons why we raise eggs is because it attracts a lot of people to the farm market. If we can attract people to the farm market for our eggs, there's a high probability they're gonna pick up other stuff while they're here. Not that we don't like the eggs, not that we don't like raising chickens, but it's just something we do to add a little more profit to what we're doing here on the farm. You've heard us talk about this before, and you've heard us talk about this during sweet corn harvest. We try and get sweet corn as early as we can, because when people find out you have early and good sweet corn, well, then they're showing up. And if they're showing up for sweet corn, maybe they'll pick up some hamburger out of the freezer. Maybe they'll pick up some other fruits and veggies, or quite possibly everything they need for dinner they pick up from us, which would be cool. These are the things we think about when we're adding new products or moving products around. When it comes to the beef, the chickens, the eggs, those things bring in a lot of new customers. And by bringing in new customers, if we can keep them coming to the farm market, oh, that just helps out everything. I think this is empty. Yep, this is empty. Thankfully, we have a barrel of feed over here that I can pull out of, but we're gonna have to move this around later on when we have some time. This thing's full. That's awesome. This one's not. Off you go. Trying to make sure we have enough feeder space for all these chickens. What's nice about these large feeders is it allows you to fill up and kind of like leave your chickens for a while. The only thing is the type of grain that we make has to be on the smaller side, so it's finer, and because of the added ingredients with all the fresh grains involved, it can get kind of powdery and it just doesn't want to flow. Occasionally we will have to come through and tap the feeders to move everything down, which I just did. Now we are in a little bit of a rush this morning, so I just want to quickly look over all the animals for myself. Good morning, cattle. Look at that. Everybody's standing up. Everybody's at the feeder. Good to see. Back over here. Oh yeah. Everybody is chowing down. Wow, that's a beautiful sight. All them cows through the head gates. Those head gates have helped out a lot. The smaller cattle can really put on some weight now that they're not being pushed around. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'll tell you what, all this fill that we had put in, that is a big help. Look at that. Everything is very dry around here, which is a big bonus. And the material that we got packed down really nice, so it's great for driving equipment over. Dad is here in the cafeteria. He's doing a little bit of feeding, and he's also doing some preventary work. I don't know if that's the right word. We were just giving them some flea and tick powder, just trying to keep all the calves healthy. When it starts to get really cold like this, ticks and fleas will try and find anything that's warm, and animals are a big contributor to that, especially since a lot of the cattle go down over the hill. We're just trying to do some preventative care, trying to make sure that everybody's healthy. Inside these greenhouses, it's not too big of a worry, but it's still something we need to watch out for. When you have all these animals in close proximity, if one gets a problem, it can travel to others. So we're just trying to be smart about it. And I don't know where you live if ticks are bad. Thankfully, because of all the wild turkeys, all the birds in our area, the chickens that we have, we don't see too many ticks close around here. But there are places in Northeast Pennsylvania, rather close to us, where ticks are a big problem. Trying to keep the animals healthy, trying to keep those insects off of them is a big priority for us. So doing the preventative care, it's important. We had put the 100 away last night so that we knew it would start this morning. Daniel brought it out and got it already hooked up. Once we finish off with the calves, that will be animals finished, and then we'll be able to move on to cutting corn. Before we go, just making sure all those lugs are nice and tight. So the only amount of corn we have left to cut is here on the home farm, which that's pretty nice. We don't have to worry about driving too far. We don't have to worry about basically going anywhere. We're at home. It's a lot easier to get the home farm cut, which is why we usually will save this for last. It's just, we feel like it's the best option. Sometimes you think maybe get cut around the farm first, but You don't have to worry about hauling time. It goes a lot quicker this way. You know how sometimes when you're driving a big piece of equipment and you go across this little road, well, we have this little waterway we go over, and it's a little scary. But Dad, tell them what you look for to make sure you can get over the waterway.
I'll keep this tire halfway over the edge on my right side. I can see that one.
So as long as the tire is half off, then we're okay. No issues that way. So I'm not gonna be with Dad as he's cutting. So if Dad wants to film, he can, but we're not gonna promise anything. So if we don't get any corn harvest footage, that's on Dad, not on me.
We're running along here this morning. We have 5 acres till we finish our corn harvest. It's moving along pretty smoothly. Looks real good. This is not some of our best ground, so this is not super yielding corn, but we're probably running 140, 150 bushel, which is not bad for up here. This ground is a little shaly and stony. The topsoil's not too deep because it's on a hill, but in general, it's pretty good ground. The combine here we're running out through, if you notice, we them cones that stick out, those cones are used when the corn falls over. You can slide under and it pulls them right up over, and then it doesn't take the whole stalk in the combine. The combine, there's strippers there. And if you notice, it pulls the stalk and strips the stalk down and pops the ear off. You can see the ears coming off, pops them ears off, and then pulls the ears in, and then the stalk and the majority of the leaves go right out the bottom as trash. We leave that in the field because that's nutrients for next year's crop, so we want that to rot up and decay, so those nutrients there are there for next year. The reason you have to add fertilizer to your crops is because of the grain. If you're taking the grain off, that grain contains the nutrients, so you need to replace the nutrients that the grain takes. You don't take anything off. If you would just chop up all the corn and put it right back in the field, there would be no need to add any nutrients because it would all be there for next year. So the purpose of fertilizing is to replace what you harvest. This combine runs along real nice. It's an older combine. It's not real fancy, but it works for us. And I'm not a professional combine driver, but I've been doing it for probably 40 years, maybe a little more. I don't remember when I started. I did with my dad. My dad was used to run the combine, and then I started running it. My dad passed away when he was relatively young. So actually, I've been really running the farm since I'm 21 with the help of my mother. I'm not saying that she didn't make any decisions or anything, but she pretty much helped. And my sisters, we worked together at it, and we made adjustments. My advice to a lot of young farmers is keep your mind open to try new stuff until you find out what works for you, what works in your area. To raise corn and soybeans and grain, you need a lot of acres. To raise vegetables, you get more income per acre, but it's more labor intensive. So we're in our last field. We're getting ready to finish up here. This field's about 2.5 acres. So something I want to tell you about the combine, it's a pretty amazing machine. It takes those ears of corn and those cobs inside, and there's a cylinder, it's called a cylinder inside. And what it does is it spins the ears real fast, and it sort of like explodes and the kernels come off the ears. It's kind of neat. And then inside there's a series of screens that the grain will sort of sieve through, and also there's a fan that blows air. Now in the combine here, you don't just turn it on and go. You have to adjust the speed of the fan so you have the right air, so you're blowing the trash out, and you don't want to have too much air that you're blowing the corn out. On our combine, we have a monitor here that helps us to appreciate how much grain we're losing. This combine does a super job for an older machine. You don't hardly see a kernel on the ground. You don't hardly see an ear anywhere missed. So it really does a nice job. So once it's set up right, then you're able to continue on harvesting and getting all the grain. And then it takes the grain through the machine and puts it in the grain bin behind us, which you perhaps have seen many times. Through here, I'm probably gonna have to dump when I go back out, so I can't show you the bin. It's up past my window, but there's a monitor there that tells me when the bin gets full, the beeper goes off, so I know that I don't lose any grain. Harvesting's a fun job. Everybody enjoys harvesting, and certainly we appreciate that it comes to an end. And it's always bittersweet when it comes to the end. You're glad to be done, but yet it would always be nice to have a little more to harvest. So that's a little bit of the working of the combine. Now this whole front comes off, and as you noticed, we use the same machine to harvest soybeans and harvest wheat and oats. but the front is different. So the machine basically works the same. The only difference, when you do different grains, you got to run that cylinder speed at a different speed. If you run it too fast, it cracks and splits the grain, and you don't want to do that. But you don't want to. You want to get all the grain off the cob or out of the head. So you got to run it fast enough to have that set up properly. And then, as I said, the air needs to be just right too. Not all grain is the same, and you're harvesting corn. Some corn's heavier than other corn, so sometimes you have to make adjustments while you're going out through the field. Everything looks good here. We're getting towards the end, so I'm gonna put the camera down and get finished here because I'm starting to see raindrops on my windshield, and we wanted to get done with this and get the combine put away before the rain came.
I just hopped back in the cab with Dad. He seems to be having a good time in here. We've got our last little bit of corn up in front of us, and that's gonna be the end of corn harvest for the year. Something I will say, while we've been outside and while we've been cutting, the weather has changed quite a bit. There's a lot of moisture in the air, which makes it feel much colder than it actually is. Dad and I figured rather than taking the head home with the machine, we'll just unhook the head here for now. So normally these shafts have something to connect to, so when you set them down, they don't just go right into the dirt. The other side's one is still connected. This one broke, so I've got to hold this up. Just getting it cleaned up a little bit before we take it back to the farm. We don't want all this in the parking lot anyway, so we figured, why not dump it out here? It was quite a bit sitting on there, Dad. Oh my. It's a much different view out the front without the head on. Both our truck and wagon were full, so Matthew had to come back right away and get the truck all emptied out. And now we're putting the last of the corn into the truck. Then once Daniel's finished dumping his wagon down there, the truck will just put whatever's on there up into the bin as well. And that should be corn harvest completely finished. All we'll have to do with the combine is clean it off, give it a good grease, and then put it away. We got done just in time for lunch, but I don't know what we're having today. What are we having, Grammy?
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs, sweet. We got, it looks like Grammy making apple butter?
Yep.
Grammy's making apple butter. And then you got Aunt Rhonda over here making cookies. Wow. But anyway, next thing on the list is getting some lunch. All finished with lunch now, and we're getting ready to put the combine away. We are gonna pressure wash off the combine, get it all cleaned up really nice. Not only does that need to be done, but for the duration of harvest, we had moved a lot of stuff into the shop. So we've got a tractor that needs to be moved out. We have our grinder that needs to be moved out. And then the Mac needs to get out of here too. One of the biggest jobs that needs to be done before the combine can be put away is cleaning it up, but also the extensions on the top need to be folded down and taken off. So we'll be around here working on that. I hope it goes smoothly. We definitely don't want to drop those extensions off the top. Joel's letting me use the pressure washer that they have in the stable. I learned a little trick with it. It works a lot better when you do it left-handed. It's a little strange, but I figured it out. Oh, who got it so dirty in here? Well, I got a bulk of the dirt and grime off of the combine. I think like half of it got onto me, but it doesn't really matter as long as the machine is kind of clean and it's looking pretty good. We're ready to put it into the shop. As I was finishing up with the pressure washer though, the boys had gone down around back, they're grinding feed, and they also were able to get the bin extensions pulled off, and they are now here in the back of the shop. So all we have to do is get our combine carefully backed in here and we'll be good to go. I'm just gonna head down around back and see how much is left when it comes to grind and feed. A little bit of an update. We got finished with grind and feed before the rain really showed up. And then we got everything moved into the shop. So now the giant combine out of the weather. That's what we want. That bigger equipment, we do not want it sitting out. It is just about closing time here on the farm, but I got a call from Lauren. I need to get home and help her with a few things. So I'm heading home. It's been a busy day. We got a lot done. Corn harvest finished, combine all cleaned up and put away. But I'm ready to go home and make some dinner. Well, everyone, I got home, just got some dinner. It's kind of like date night, you know? We're sitting around watching some YouTube. Callie, how did you enjoy dinner? What'd you have?
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza, so delicious. And since we're all sitting down and eating dinner together, that means this is where we're gonna end the video. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.